Now at 6, New Britain police have named a suspect in a deadly double shooting. I'm Angelo Bavaro, live with the latest as police say they are still looking for that suspect.
Concerns are mounting across Connecticut and the country following President Trump's federal funding freeze. I'm Kate Pattyfoot, and coming up, we'll hear from programs that could be impacted by this freeze.
Current New Britain Mayor Aaron Stewart exploring the possibility of becoming Governor Stewart. I'm Emma Wolforce. Now have all your details on that coming up.
All local, all morning. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good morning, 6 o'clock on this Wednesday. Thank you for waking up with us here on Fox 61 and Fox 61 Plus. I'm Symphony Privet.
And I'm Tim Lammers. Good morning. Watch your step if you head out the door this morning. Curious to see where there might be slick spots from some snow overnight as we get over to Matt Scott. I always say, listen, I live right by the Mass border. Didn't look like I had any snow at all.
And often, and not only are we friends, but I look to you as a barometer sometimes to see, okay, how far, what are we dealing with, how far south it goes? Because, you know, I live down on the shore. We got nothing. And the farther north I drove, farther north I drove, still nothing. So really minimal effects this morning. We're going to focus more on the winds. It's going to be a windy day ahead. And the temperatures next couple of days, they're going to take a small step downward. Now, the 7 days got some rain. Does it have some snow? We'll talk about that coming up. Wind advisory in effect for today. We're looking for the potential for wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour. That could lead to a few power outages or so. But by and large, the snow, I don't want to say it was a non-starter, but it was minimal at worst, mainly on the northern side of the state. A few snow showers coming through, as you can see, as expected with this clipper. It's long gone. We may get a few flurries, maybe a raindrop later on this afternoon, but don't worry about what you see off to the north and west. We're not concerned with it. 26 in Hartford, 36 in New Haven, so clearly too warm at the shore. Even up in Torrington, though, 26 degrees, not a major cold morning. The winds, they're okay now. They will be picking up. So your real feel down to 17 in Torrington, down to the lower 30s on the shore. Look at the winds. They kind of spark up from time to time as we go in through the evening. And so that means you need to dress for a lot less than what the numbers are suggesting later on today. All right, coming up, we'll talk about, as we take a look at the school bus forecast, temperatures getting into the mid-40s, so fairly mild. But again, those winds knocking down a few pegs for the real feel. Coming up, we're going to talk about the opportunity for a few more rain showers. And then what does the weekend have in store? That answer coming up. 6:02, let's go to the roads right now. Good morning to you, Rachel Piscatelli.
Hey, good morning, Matt. Good to see you on this Wednesday morning.
Likewise.
Overall, looking pretty good on the roadways this morning. We don't have any major incidents to tell you about at this hour, and any road work has cleared for the morning commute. So we have a lot of green on our map as we looked across the state with 95, 91, 84. Our major interstates are running smoothly, even our routes as well. Hartford. So as you're traveling through the Hartford Tunnel this morning, volume is rather light. More of the same traveling in from downtown out by exits 32A and B. So your drive time from Windsor to the 84 interchange is 3 minutes. No delays eastbound 84 Route 2 also running smoothly at this hour. Tim and Tiffany.
Alrighty, thank you, Rachel. We have some new details this morning in a deadly double shooting in New Britain. Police say they are still looking for a man who shot two women he knew, killing one of them.
Fox 61's Angelo Bavaro joins us live in New Britain. Angelo, who is this man and what charges is he going to face if police find him?
Hey, good morning, guys. So police have identified that suspect as 45-year-old Christopher Ray. He's facing a list of charges this morning, including murder and assault. Now, police say a warrant has been signed that does include a $1 million bond that he must post in court. And in addition, again, we do know that Ray, as of that last update, police are still looking for him. He has not been arrested yet. Now, this shooting happened back on Monday. That is when officers responded to a home on Prospect Street. This was around 3 o'clock in the morning after getting a call about a possible domestic violence-related disturbance. And that is where officers found 30-year-old Brianna Ray on the first floor, unresponsive and suffering from gunshot injuries. She died at that home, and police also found another woman who had been shot. That woman was taken to the hospital and, as of last update, is in critical condition. Police say the suspect, Christopher Ray, has a relationship to the two victims and left the scene Longtime neighbors say they have never seen stuff like this in that quiet area. We are still waiting on some more details from police, including the relationship between Ray and those two women, what exactly that is, and also if police have any knowledge of where Ray could be this morning. Of course, as we get any updates, we'll pass those along to you at home. We're live in New Britain. I'm Angelo Bavaro, Fox 61.
All right, thank you, Angela. We'll check back in with you later on this morning. 6:05 now. A federal judge has temporarily paused a freeze ordered by the Trump administration on federal grants and loans.
Yeah, that decision came hours after the White House announced that freeze as part of its plan to review federal spending across the board. The announcement led to some confusion and worry from organizations and people who rely on that federal funding. The White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt said the Trump administration wants to stop spending taxpayer money on what she called woke policies like DEI. She also said the freeze will not impact government assistance for individuals.
This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. Individual assistance, that includes, I'm not naming everything that's included, but just to give you a few examples, Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause.
There are concerns that a funding stoppage could lead to widespread disruption for education programs and healthcare research. Now, just before that pause in the freeze, lawmakers in Connecticut pushed back against the White House's plan.
Yeah, Connecticut also joined 22 other states in a lawsuit to try and permanently stop the funding freeze. Fox 61's Kay Pattyfoot shares lawmakers' message.
People in our state are worried what will happen to critical programs if and when funding is cut due to President Trump's federal funding freeze. Some are worried that this will impact students' learning in schools. Connecticut Attorney General William Tong and 22 other states filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration before a federal judge put a temporary pause on the withholding of federal dollars. The White House says federal assistance to individuals would not be affected, including Social Security, Medicare, food stamps, student loans, and scholarships. But Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, who serves as the ranking member on the Appropriations Committee, says what President Trump is trying to do is an illegal surge of funds.
They will push out experienced civil servants, ignore the law. It's a recipe, again, for chaos and for suffering.
And, I have faith in our Constitution and that judicial process. Today, a court has already froze this order, so it's not going forward.
Both the governor and lieutenant governor say the state is prepared to do all that they can to make sure Connecticut residents have access to the services that they need despite the federal funding freeze. In Hartford, Kay Pattyfoot, Fox 61.
In an attempt to shrink the federal government, the Trump administration will offer buyouts to all federal workers. Those who leave their posts on their own will get about 8 months' pay and benefits. However, workers must decide if they will take the buyout by next Thursday. In a memo from the Office of Personnel Management, it said all federal employees would be subjected to, quote, enhanced standards of suitability and conduct. As of November, there were more than 3 million federal workers. The Pew Research Center says that is nearly 2% of the U.S. workforce. A New Britain Mayor Erin Stewart says she is exploring a run for governor in 2026. Fox 61's Emma Wolfhorst was there for the announcement and has more from New Britain City Hall.
This hallway was packed with supporters Tuesday morning as they gathered to hear from current New Britain Mayor Erin Stewart talk about exploring a run for governor.
Welcomed with an enthusiastic crowd.
We're kicking off the first leg of what could be an almost 2-year journey to usher in a new generation of leadership to the state of Connecticut.
Tuesday, Mayor Stewart announced she officially filed paperwork with the state to explore a run for governor in 2026.
We can and we must do better. Much like all of you here, I refuse to settle. I refuse to stay idle while we watch the decline of our great state, the state that we love.
Stewart said the state is stuck in neutral. She immediately hit on affordability, discussing the high cost of groceries and utilities.
Young families like mine struggle every day to make ends meet.
The 37-year-old mom of two and popular three-term mayor has developed a reputation as a common-sense conservative who puts people over party.
I'm part of the working class that the Capitol insiders have forgotten about. It's personal for me because as a mayor, I see and I hear all these people in my community who are hurting because they can't pay their taxes or they can't make ends meet.
Stewart discussed her successes over 12 years at the helm in New Britain and said she wants to bring that leadership to Hartford.
A new generation of leadership means breaking up the good old boys club in Hartford and setting an agenda that actually works for working people.
That message is resonating with residents.
Some of our leaders just kind of sit behind a desk. She's out there, she's communicating, she's talking with people. She really wants to hear what's going on in the city.
But the state hasn't had a Republican governor in 14 years since the late Jody Rell. And while Stewart supporters say she can garner bipartisan backing, it's not clear who a Democratic opponent might be. Incumbent Governor Ned Lamont has not said whether he'll seek a third term.
Jump in, the water's fine. It's getting to be that political season. I got to pay attention to a lot of incoming coming from Washington, D.C., and continue to make commitments and investments in the people of Connecticut and make this state more affordable and less costly to live every day.
Since Mayor Stewart is just exploring a run at this point, she says she will have a definite decision of whether she's truly kicking off a campaign this fall. For now, reporting in New Britain, Emma Wolforst, Fox 61.
Emma, thank you. Now at 6 o'clock, Torrington police accused a state employee of tampering with voter registration cards to try to switch some voters' affiliation to the Democratic Party. They said they arrested 57-year-old Arlonda Brantley. She works for the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. Now, police claimed that she made those changes at a voter registration event in town. However, police said an election clerk caught the changes and the cards were fixed before the election, so it did not affect all those ballot recounts that happened afterwards.